My name is Maxine Nebro, and today we are going to be presenting our third C.R.A.M webinar focusing on navigating the college experience. Once again, there is some housekeeping. I just wanted to let you know that this is going to be recorded and shared with you after the fact. So if you have to leave at any point in time, or if you want to review any of the content that we go over today, you will have access to that in the future. It will be sent as a follow-up email. And additionally, we will have some time at the end of the webinar for questions. There is a question box attached to your control panel for you to submit those questions through. And at the very end, we'll start going through and addressing some of those questions. Now, with all of that said, I did want to introduce some familiar voices today who will be guiding you through the college experience. My colleagues, Dr. Amy Dietzman, Sarah Snyder, and Evelyn Sullivan, whom you've all likely met through some of our previous webinars that we've been having recently, will be sharing their expertise with you all today to go over different topics, including things like how to comfortably ask folks for help when you need it, managing both your time and work-life balance, navigating on-campus resources, and so much more. So with that, I'm excited to get it started, and I'll pass it on over to them.
Thank you, Maxine. Hi, everybody. Welcome. We're really excited about this series. This is the third one in the series. We did navigating the college decision, navigating college admissions already. This is, of course, navigating the college experience. And then on October 19th, the last one of this series, which is about life after college. So I hope you'll join us for that one. If for any reason you missed any of these, they were all recorded and they were uploaded to our YouTube page, which I'll share with you at the end if you'd like to look at those. So we're doing quite a bit today in this presentation. We're going to start by helping you to ask for help. It's really important to know your resources and when you can get help and where. We're also going to talk about embracing teamwork opportunities, why teamwork is so important in college, building core success skills. We're going to help you lead yourself and your own degree path, manage your time and attention effectively, and lastly, balance work, life, and school. Because this is an adult webinar series, we know you have a lot going on besides just being a full-time student, so we're going to talk about some tips for that. Let's start by talking about mentorships. Mentoring is so valuable that a 2018 Gallup poll found that college graduates are almost 2 times more likely to be engaged at work if they had a mentor who encouraged them to pursue their goals and dreams. The great thing about a mentor is that unlike any other relationship you have in your life, this is somebody whose sole job is to support you and your goals. Mentors invest in you. They respect you and your goals and dreams no matter what. They listen to you. Now, so many of our relationships are two-way streets. I listen to you, you listen to me. That's a friendship. But a mentor relationship is a little bit different because their role is to listen to you. They show empathy, but then they also see solutions and opportunities to your challenges and guide you there. And lastly, a mentor should demonstrate flexibility. As you grow and your needs change, they adapt with you. How I met my mentor. This shows how students find mentors. The most common way is in class, which tells me that students probably connect to their professors or other class leaders, more likely than not, or maybe even just other students who are more experienced. Others find mentors through clubs or organizations, through jobs or internships, or through formal mentoring programs, which many colleges offer. This graphic, also from Inside Higher Ed, shows how mentors have helped college students. Most give career advice or help students select classes or navigate student life. Others help you network, decide on a major, or give advice on soft skills, which we're going to talk a little bit more about in a few minutes. So I showed you how students generally find mentors, but I just wanted to point out a few other options. Your school more than likely has a career services center, and they definitely have advisors, and they usually have writing and learning centers, and these are good places to start. Also, alumni associations often have great resources for mentorships, former students who've been right where you are and would love to mentor others. And of course, professors and TAs, and then networking. Even if you're not looking for a mentor, you will more than likely need some help at some point with something. So let's just discuss quickly the options that you may have on your campus. Most schools have writing centers and tutoring centers. These are excellent resources that you should use. When you need any kind of help with a paper or assignment, no matter how big or small, tutors are there to help you. You don't have to do it alone. And you should note, I mean, we're Tutor.com. Tutoring is what we do, and you may have access to our service for free through your school. Next is career services, which I mentioned before. The Career Center on most campuses is far more than just a job placement office. Most of today's career offices can help you choose a major, explore careers within a chosen major, discover your strengths and your talents, find on and off campus jobs, and seek out internships. Career centers also offer help with resume building, interviewing skills, and workplace expectations. If your school doesn't offer career services, we also have this at Tutor.com. Financial aid offices and advisors are super important to helping you figure out your finances. There are all kinds of advisors on most campuses. You've probably heard from many different advisors already, so make sure that you respond and get to know them and build a relationship. Also, library services are super important. I had no idea what a librarian could really do for me until way later in life when I attended an online school and I needed a specific article or book, but my online library didn't have it. I'd send a request to my librarian, and usually within 12 hours, she would get it for me. It was awesome. Also, something that you may not know about is childcare services. Now, not every campus offers this resource. It's a fairly new resource, but for parents who are going back to school, it's invaluable. If you need childcare, be sure to ask your college if they offer any on-campus childcare, or if they offer a subsidy for student parents to enroll their child at a nearby childcare center while they attend classes. This is, again, a newer resource at many campuses, but it's one that's important and you should ask. Adult cohorts are groups of students who may be on the same path as you. They may be taking the same courses as you, and you may have a lot in common. Make friends with this group and don't be shy about setting up study groups, virtually or in person. And by the way, all the things I'm talking about here, don't discard them if you're an online student, just assuming these are things that only on-campus students have. These things are almost all offered virtually as well. So you can still look into these. College campuses also have resources for students with disabilities, and not just physical disabilities, but they can assist students who have learning disabilities as well. Veterans offices and health resources, even mental health resources, may be available to you for free. And lastly, multicultural student support resources, which may be available to you, can offer support for minority students, international students, or LGBTQ support. Now that you know just a little bit about the importance of mentors and using your resources, I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Sarah, who's going to talk with you a little bit more about teamwork in college.
Thank you, Amy. So among the top 5 skills that employers seek in a future employee and that play a role in predicting an employee's future success, we see these skills: leadership, critical thinking and problem solving, professionalism and strong work ethic, oral and written communication skills, and teamwork and collaboration. So this is something that employers are looking for. They want employees who are already skilled at working together, participating effectively in a team, collaborating effectively with other people from diverse backgrounds, considering new perspectives, and contributing to a community. Employers aren't looking for islands. But Sarah, you might say, I don't like working with a team. I get it, I do, I promise. But let's look at some common objections to teamwork and then why we shouldn't let those stand in our way. You've probably thought or even said at least one of these things before. I can produce faster and better work alone than I can with a team. Working with a team is more frustrating than it's worth. What's the point? Teamwork is too slow and cumbersome to be worth the effort. I always end up doing all the work when I'm on a team, so I might as well just work alone. So-and-so always takes the lead and leads us in the wrong direction. While each of these may have a little merit in and of themselves, a look at the benefits to teamwork will show us that they probably should not hold as much sway for us, and we probably give them more influence than they deserve. So let's compare that to the positive side of the picture and look at some of the benefits of teamwork, particularly group projects or team collaboration in school. Teamwork encourages creative brainstorming as ideas you hear from others or they hear from you trigger new thoughts or innovations. It encourages appreciation for diverse perspective. Hearing things you didn't think of or experiencing problem solving in a way you hadn't thought of is invaluable to growing your own contributions to teams as you process those new experiences and they influence your thought process. Teamwork encourages diverse relationship building because you will invariably be grouped with people who are not exactly like you. That's everybody, right? Healthy relationships are vital to the success of a group. So learning to build relationships with those who are different from you will make your group more successful. Teamwork grows confidence and self-esteem. Seeing yourself as a part of the greater team, having your contributions considered, and taking part in the success of the group can make you a more confident student, employee, and person in general. And teamwork gives you a great opportunity to learn from others. By hearing varied perspectives, experiences, knowledge about a topic, you have the chance to develop your own views and knowledge with that input. But you say to me, you promised teamwork and collaboration would help me enter a competitive workplace. I don't really see that here. Well, let's look at 4 more significant benefits to teamwork. Teamwork can grow your leadership skills as you take on or experience leadership in a group project setting. Your critical thinking skills as you problem solve with others. Your work ethic as you are required to be accountable to people other than your instructor, help set group deadlines, and experience repercussions of missed deadlines by yourself or others. And your communication skills as you navigate each aspect of a project and communicating with diverse team members. Do these 4 things look familiar? They should. These are the other 4 pieces of our pie that showed us the top 5 things employers are looking for. Work done in teams, whether in school teams or work teams, helps to build all the other pieces of what will make you a more attractive candidate. You might be wondering if it's true in practice that employers are looking for someone with experience working in a team. So let me share with you an example. One of my responsibilities here at Tutor.com is conducting interviews for new open positions at the corporate level. One of the things that we ask in every interview is for the candidate to tell us about a time when they were on a team and collaborated with a team. It's broad, it's a little vague, and that's on purpose. We want to give candidates free rein to answer that question however they see fit. You might be surprised just how many people struggle with their response. We recently interviewed 11 people for a new opening on our team. Of those 11 people, only 1 person even remotely answered that question well. That applicant shared a little about the process of working as a team, a little about strategies that were employed. It wasn't much, but it was better than the other 10. What the other 10 shared could all be boiled down to essentially saying, yeah, I was on a team once. Wow, that's really all they had to say. I can tell you with certainty from the employer perspective that you will stand out among the competition if you can answer that question well, talking about strategies your team employed, brainstorming techniques you used, timeline management you handled, and so on. But to answer it well, you first need experience, and school is an excellent place to get that experience. In addition to embracing teamwork opportunities and allowing them to support the growth of your core success skills like communication, leadership, critical thinking, work ethic, self-leadership also plays a critical role in success. So we're going to look at that. What is self-leadership? Self-leadership is about influencing ourselves, creating the self-motivation and self-direction we need to accomplish what we want to accomplish. That's Charles Mann. He's an author and leadership professor. Brian Tracy, an author and motivational speaker, says that self-leadership means you accept complete responsibility for your results and outcomes. You don't blame other people. You don't make excuses. You say, I am responsible. I'm in control. I'm in charge of my own life. And Lao Tzu, an ancient Chinese philosopher, said that mastering others is strength, but mastering yourself is true power. Lao Tzu also said, watch your thoughts, they become your words. Watch your words, they become your actions. Watch your actions, they become your habits. Watch your habits, they become your character. Watch your character, it becomes your destiny. At the heart of all of this is the idea of personal mastery. That is the core of self-leadership. So let's take a look at how this plays out in the college experience. Part of self-leadership is owning your own degree path. Take charge of your education in all respects, not just in where you go to school or which program you enter, but also in which classes you take, how many at a time, when in the day, what mode of instruction, what order, to the extent that those things are customizable in your chosen program. Academic counselors are a great resource for academic guidance and a great place to get your questions answered. But don't rely solely on someone else to tell you how to get from start to finish. Course catalogs are packed with information about degree requirements, what courses are required, how many electives you need, for example. Course pre or co-requisites, those that you need to take before or at the same time as another course, and suggested course sequences, an optional recommended order for taking a set of courses, but maybe not a required order. If you have questions about what you read there and you need to know which academic year's course catalog applies to you, the academic counselors are there to answer those kinds of questions. But I encourage you to really own that process and try to figure some stuff out on your own. Course schedules, typically posted a semester at a time in advance of registration deadlines, contain information about instructional modes like classroom lecture, lab, fieldwork, whether it's online, days and times that the course is offered, often with multiple choices per semester, and specifics about which instructor is teaching each section. Again, academic counselors are great to ask questions about what you find there. Because an academic counselor will never be as familiar with your work and family obligations as you are, it's a great idea to tackle a degree plan on your own before asking an academic counselor to review it. You know how quickly you want to go through your program, and in any given term, you know the obligations on your calendar to work around with the courses you choose. Having that intimate knowledge of where you are, where you're going, and how you plan to get there should set you up for a more successful college experience than just leaving it all for someone else to figure out and dictate to you. You're going to have a more personal investment, which will generally lead to more follow-through. You also want to own your course path. What I mean by that is the path from start to finish of an individual course. Make a plan for how you're going to successfully complete college algebra, for example. Here are some tools that will help, especially if you start using them from the very first day of class. And I mean very first day of class. Academic planners come in a whole variety of styles, including digital forms. MyStudyLife.com is a free online academic planner. It helps with scheduling, tasks lists, reminders, helping you keep your calendar organized, all different aspects. Study groups are a great way to network with peers and also compare notes. Revisiting your notes with peers can help you fill in blanks and reinforce what was taught in class. And even if you understand it all, every time you teach material or explain material to another person, you learn it that much better. So being the one in the group with the best grasp on the material has its benefits too. And if your instructor or a TA or other course supplemental instructor has made office hours available, take advantage. And again, I will say from the very first day. Even if you don't have questions yet, go check out office hours during that first week. Here's why. Being comfortable with where the room is and introducing yourself to the instructor or TA during that first week will make it tremendously more likely that you'll take advantage of those office hours later in the semester when you really do need them. You won't have the stress of that unknown of who are they, where are they, added to the stress of not understanding the material. Now I'm going to hand things over to Evelyn to talk more about the practical side of managing your time effectively and balancing all your priorities so that you can be more successful through your college experience.
Thank you so much, Sarah. So let's face it, school is a big commitment, albeit a commitment with a great reward. And as you dive into your schoolwork, you may find yourself wishing for control over time. While we can't control time, we can focus on what we can control, our attention. When we say attention management, what does that mean? Attention management is a practice whereby we reduce or remove the influence of external factors to be able to focus our attention, and we're mindful of our motivation, energy level, and state of mind throughout the day to use that attention to get what we want to do done. In other words, instead of responding or reacting to or getting distracted by the things around us, we decide what to focus on and when, and we pair up our tasks and our ability to attend to those tasks in an intentional way. So first up, we want to remove or limit distractions. Find a quiet area in your house or dorm. If that doesn't exist, go somewhere else, a library or public workspace. If you are home, close the door, lock it if you can. Consider listening to focus music. That will make it easier to tune out other things happening around you. Then, think about tech distractions. Set your phone to silent or to do not disturb. Remove any type of pop-up notifications that you have, social media or email alerts. Those constant dings will pull focus. If it's really crunch time, consider ways to block or enforce daily limits on screen time. Limit is a C.R.A.M extension where you can set time limits for how long you can spend on any site that is a potential distraction for you. We're all familiar with to-do lists. Well, Forbes suggests that you take a moment to reflect and write out a not-to-do list. This will help you be aware of potential pitfalls, and we're going to plan to limit those distractions. Next, we pair up our tasks and our ability to attend to those tasks in an intentional way. So what does that look like? Motivation and energy low. That's when you do the easy or enjoyable items on your list. You don't need the extra help of motivation to get those things done. Maybe there's a design project that seems interesting to you, or an assignment that doesn't require too much reading, revision, or detective work. This is a great time to get these done. You're already taxed, so if you attempt to do a hard, complicated, or joyless task when your motivation and energy are low, it will make it that much more difficult to complete. Motivation and energy are high, well, that's when you bang out those harder tasks. You need that wind in your sails to tackle the items you don't want to do or will take a lot of research, revision, and detective work to do. It still may not be fun, say if you have to do, I don't know, something about taxes, but at least you'll have your inner resources working with you instead of making a tough job even tougher. We've learned that motivation is a factor, energy is a factor. Now let's talk about state of mind. We're going to look at 4. The first is reactive and distracted. It's so easy to fall into this state. You may want to focus on something, but everything around you is pulling that focus away. A text, memes on the internet, your family, your pet, something on TV you get sucked into even though you just had it on in the background. You are distracted by and reacting to everything around you to the point where you just can't focus on what you want to get done. That's why what we talked about before was so important. The more you can remove or limit distractions, the easier you'll make it on yourself to get things done. Next is focused and mindful. And in this state, you've been intentional about your environment, you've limited distractions to the best of your ability, and you're focused and giving all your concentration to the task in front of you. Number 3 is daydreaming. You may think to daydream is just to zone out or not be intentional, but in fact, you should be just as mindful in limiting distractions when setting aside time for daydreaming. Whereas the focused and mindful state hones in on one thought or task, time to daydream is time dedicated to letting your thoughts go where they will. No limits, whether it's to explore new ideas or to problem solve. Daydreaming is where your creativity has room to blossom. Last but not least, there's flow. And flow is an elusive state. We don't have control over when we enter flow. However, there are things we can do to optimize the chances of entering a flow state. I think this will sound familiar. If we limit our distractions and are in a focused and mindful state, we'll be more likely to enter a flow state. And in a flow state, you're effortlessly focused on what you're doing. You lose track of time, your hunger level, things happening around you. It's just you and whatever you're doing. Maybe you're researching a topic that really interests you. Hours can pass and feel like minutes. We've gone over limiting distractions, being mindful of motivation, energy level, state of mind. Is there anything else to help build our attention management skills? Yes. I'm sure you've all heard of multitasking and were led to believe that that was a good thing to do. Well, it's not really possible. There are very few things that can be done and done well at the same time. What you might perceive to be multitasking is actually task switching. It takes more of our energy and therefore robs our focus to be constantly jumping back and forth between tasks. It's busyness for no good reason. And I'd like you all to try something. If you could please type in the chat 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Nice and easy. Okay. And then once you've typed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, now I'd like you to type the word multitask. All right. And now I'd like you to type both of them, but I'd like you to alternate between the two. So number, letter, like 1M, 2U, etc. That's a little different, right? It took you at least twice as long when you were jumping back and forth, and it probably didn't feel as good. So get in the habit of unitasking or single tasking, right? Try to focus on doing one thing for 20 minutes and build up from there. And this will promote focus and mindful attention that we've been talking about. Another concept is batch tasking. I used to be a notorious instant email responder. An email would come in and I would respond right away. And that not only pulled focus from other projects I was working on, but it took a lot of energy. I would switch from whatever I was working on to hurriedly respond. And it was almost a compulsion and kind of stressful. Now I intentionally schedule and set aside time to answer a big batch of emails in one sitting. Okay, we're focused. We're intentional with our attention. Now let's talk strategy. I'd like to zoom in on more on what day-to-day planning and prioritization can look like. I really like these recommendations from Minimalism Made Simple. And over the next few slides, we're going to talk about these 4 points. So let's dive in. Whether mapping out a larger goal or constructing your weekly or daily to-dos, you'll want to write it down. You could write your list in the morning or the night before, whatever you prefer. The Muse has a great article on productivity in which they suggest breaking down every task into small steps and then scheduling everything by starting from the end of the day and working backwards. And this means you know exactly what activity you'll do from the moment you wake up. And it sounds like a lot, but it removes the time and energy spent making decisions, and that can be liberating and keep you on track. By removing decision-making, we're likely to maintain our willpower to get things done. It takes energy to make a decision. And as we make decisions throughout the day, even decisions about things that don't really matter in the grand scheme of things, we have less and less energy. If not managed properly, we can burn out, and then our willpower will suffer. We'll go for what's easiest over what would be beneficial to us. We simply don't have the reserves to think about anything else. Allow enough time for each activity. If you use an online calendar, plug in time for each task. Try 30 to 90-minute blocks that are labeled what you'll be working on. When you start your day, look at the calendar and make a call on your energy level. If you put studying in the morning but you're not feeling sharp yet, take a more enjoyable task like finishing touches on a project you love and swap it. Be flexible, notice how you're feeling, and adjust. I find that by task blocking, it also helps to minimize distractions, and I can single task, right? Attention management. Accept that priorities can change. Sometimes we get interrupted by a new project or a life event that takes priority. This is natural and okay. Just shift what you can and know that you can revisit transplanted priorities later down the line. Priorities can also change because we want them to, and that is empowering. We've talked about being mindful about how we function at varying times of the day. What does that look like in your week? So let's say Tuesdays and Thursdays, you have class time and lab work. You can use some time on Mondays to adjust and plan your calendar to set yourself up for a successful week, and then block out focus time to work on projects Wednesdays, and Fridays can include time spent tying up loose ends and planning for the next week. Build your study time, short-term homework assignments, and break time around your classes, obligations, and weekend plans. And lastly, recognize that prioritization will become a skill set. Give yourself permission to experiment and forgive yourself if things aren't perfect right away. Just try it and give it time, and one day you'll have a system down for setting priorities. Some other strategies: prioritize your schedule versus schedule your priorities. So, prioritize your schedule is great for that day-to-day mapping. You know what you'd like to accomplish, and you can manipulate your schedule accordingly. Schedule your priorities takes the long view. This can be done weekly or monthly. I like to plug in my priorities for the week first so they can maintain the top priority for my focus. And then I can fit in time for those less important or less urgent tasks. We'll talk about balance a little later, but I highly encourage you to prioritize time for yourself that is not school related, from breaks in your day to taking whole days off. Eat the frog. Please don't eat any actual frogs. Author Brian Tracy introduced a concept he calls "eat the frog," inspired by a quote by Mark Twain. If the first thing you do in the morning is to eat the frog, then you can continue your day with the satisfaction of knowing that this is probably the worst thing that will happen to you all day. In terms of effective living, this means complete the hardest task first. You'll get it out of the way, you'll feel awesome that you did it, and now you have easier items left to complete. Habit stacking. I'd also like to talk about one of my favorite concepts discussed in James Clear's Atomic Habits, a very good book. Habit stacking. The idea is to take an existing sequence of habits that you already have and insert a new habit. And as Clear explains on his website, you may already have a morning routine that looks like this: wake up, make my bed, take a shower. Let's say you want to develop the habit of reading more each night. You can expand your habit stack and try something like wake up, make my bed, place a book on my pillow, take a shower. Now when you climb into bed each night, a book will be sitting there waiting for you to enjoy. Create an emotional to-do list. This one I thought was kind of funny. Entrepreneur Robin Scott suggests thinking about how the to-dos make you feel and categorizing them that way. For example, you can list a task like doing your final paper under massive relief, or, I got this when you have an awesome study session. Last but not least, it's important to remember your life is not a series of tasks to accomplish, and certainly not about working so hard you burn out. You have to treat yourself as a priority, and that means creating support and balance for yourself to not only work towards your degree, but to have a life. Think about where you can buy time. What can you delegate or outsource? I couldn't tell you the last time I did my own laundry. If I had a washer dryer in my apartment, I'd do it myself, but I don't. So for me, it's worth the extra $10 or whatever to not have to sit in a laundromat for 2 hours and fold everything and come home. It could be the same for you in grocery delivery or meal kits. So think about, where can I buy time? All right, it's not all about to-dos. Go outside. I'm still working on this. I live in the city where everything can come to you. I work in my apartment. I live with my boyfriend and our 4 cats. It's really cozy here, and I don't need to leave the apartment, but I'm scheduling time to do so because going outside improves concentration, creativity. It provides a dose of vitamin D, which is crucial for a healthy immune system and your cells and your bones and reducing inflammation. And according to HuffPost, research published in the Journal of Aging Health shows that getting outside on a daily basis may help older people stay healthy and functioning longer. People who spent time outside every day at age 70 had fewer health complaints at age 77 than those who did not go outside every day. Exercise your body. Walking is great. It's free, it's easy. You can also stretch, try a sport, try a dance class even. And exercise your mind. Take some time each week to learn something, even if it's just a few minutes a day. Read or learn a new language or do puzzles. I'm a big fan of Duolingo, which is a fun app to learn languages. Socialize. Reach out to a friend for coffee. Have a regular standing coffee chat, even virtual one. Volunteer or help organize something for your community. And wrapping up the day. An evening routine can help wrap up the day, set you up for some restful sleep, and even take prep work and decision-making out of your tomorrow. Lay out what you'll wear. That's one less decision you'll have to make in the morning. There are quick and easy breakfasts you could prep beforehand. Overnight oats, chia seed pudding, egg muffins, breakfast bars. Pinterest is a great resource for meal prep ideas for breakfast and lunch. Write down your to-dos or any important reminders for tomorrow. The idea being, if you get it out of your head and onto the paper, it's not swirling around in your mind, keeping you awake. Consider journaling, and if you have a lot that you'd like to clear out, that's a really good way to just dump it all on the paper. If you're journaling or if you use a planner, review, refresh, and assess your goals. And while you're at it, why not celebrate the day's successes and write those down? If you want to practice gratitude, you can jot down or say something you're grateful for. And lastly, it is important to wind down. So think about what will help you relax. Is it reading a book? Is it a cup of sleepy time tea? Listening to a playlist or meditation? Doing some relaxing yoga poses in bed? Whatever your routine, aim to go to the bed at the same time each night if you can, allowing for 7 to 8 hours of sleep. So thank you so much. I'm going to pass it back to Amy.
Awesome. Thank you, Evelyn and Sarah. You guys are so awesome. Such great tips for students. Just to let you know that still to come, I already said this once, but just saying it again, we're doing Navigating Life After College, and that's going to be on the 19th. And now I'm going to just show you a couple. We used so many references for this that we had to make a whole other document for it. So Maxine can send that out later. But here's some of the books we looked at when we were preparing this presentation. And now we would love to answer your questions if you have any.
All right, awesome. So as you can see, first up on the screen is links to all of our different socials. Please feel free to follow us on there so you can get more up-to-date information on any other webinar series that we do in the future, as well as with the YouTube channel. You can just have access to every one of our YouTube or every one of our webinars for future use. Now, again, if there are any questions, there is a question box attached to your control panel, and you can just submit them there. It looks like we did get a couple coming in throughout the presentation. The first one, I believe, is for you, Amy, and it has to do with the concept of mentors. And basically, is there such thing as too many mentors? And if so, how can you kind of choose between them, or what should you look at to differentiate the different mentor possibilities?
Oh, it's great. That's a great question. I would say that the reason why maybe mentors, maybe you could have too many, is if it takes too much time. And I think we talked so much just now about the balance and trying to do all these things that you may be trying to do, working and being a parent and taking care of your home and also going to school and all the things you might be trying to do, that trying to set aside time to meet with different mentors throughout your week or month could become a little overwhelming. So that's one reason why I would say, more than one mentor might not be great. But at the same time, every mentor has a different expertise or a different specialty. And you may find that you have a mentor who's helping you get through school and another mentor who's helping you with work or helping you find the right job. And so at times, those people might be valuable. And then it's okay at times to say, this mentor has done a lot for me and I'm ready to move on. I know that's hard to do. And I've been a mentor before and felt like someone that I was working with didn't need me anymore. And it was hard to say, I don't think you need me. And I didn't want to hurt her feelings. But at times we have to be able to say that, okay, this mentor served the right purpose. And now I need to move on to someone who can help me with something else, something different, my next step.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, I think that really does make a lot of sense, even though that can be a tough thing to kind of grapple with. I did see one question coming in saying that the chat is disabled. That is correct. The chat is disabled, but there is a
Oops.
Q&A option that you can submit your questions through. So that is how you're going to be communicating with us if you have any questions. The next question looks like it's actually for Sarah, and it was actually kind of regarding the employer perspective about when you were saying you were interviewing people and asked them for examples of them working with a team. So one thing that happens a lot when working with teams, especially in, like, let's say a college experience, is there tends to be some conflict on the team, whether that's conflicting ideas, personalities, timelines. Would it be worth using those examples and talking about how you address them, or should you tend to keep your examples in those situations to mainly positive ones?
That's a really good question. Another question that we often ask in interviews is about challenging work relationships and how you've navigated them. So sometimes that's a place where you can put those challenging team situations and talk about, this was the challenge that this particular team presented for me, and this is how I navigated. So that's an option. But I think what's important about answering the question with regard to, tell us about a time when you were on a team, is that what I hear from you is that you've given some thought to it and that you understand team dynamics, that you understand that this is not a one person leading the show and everyone else just kind of following along, that you understand that it's about collaboration and that these are unique perspectives coming together. And oftentimes that does present conflict. And so I think if you can communicate how it presented conflict and why there was conflict, talking about it being about diverse perspectives or things like that, that I think you can use that to talk about your teamwork experience and why you are uniquely qualified to be talking about working on a team because you've navigated difficulty.
Okay, perfect. And yeah, it doesn't look like we have any further questions coming in just yet. I'll leave the floor open for just a little bit longer. But just kind of as closing statements, I did want to remind you there will be a follow-up email that will have information about our next webinar, a recording of this webinar, as well as a basically sheet with all of the different references so you can access those at any time if you want to do some further research. But yeah, it doesn't look like any other questions are coming in. So thank you everybody so much for joining us today, and I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day.